Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Kristin Kaufman. I'm the CEO and founder of a company by the name of Alignment Inc. Many of you all have followed me for years, but for those of you who are new, my company is designed to help individuals, teams, and organizations become aligned. And my definition of aligned is when we love what we do, we're good at it, and most importantly, it's tied to something greater than yourself. And that is true for individuals as well as for publicly traded Fortune 500 companies. So with that said, every once in a while, I like to come on and share a few thoughts, basically and typically driven by what my clients want me to share or my followers want me to share. So today, and I actually have it written down because I want to make sure that I cover all of the notes for you all today. Today, I wanted to actually talk about people who are facing what I would call ambiguity in their life. Perhaps they're trying to write a new chapter and they're not really sure what that chapter is to look like. And there is certainty about how they want to contribute, but there's also some ambiguity, which is very natural. You know, where do we want to contribute? What do we want to do? For whom do we want to do it? And how will I know for sure that this is how I want to craft my next chapter? You know, many of us have plenty of financial resources, so money may or may not be the driver. Others have the desire or the need to continue to work because they want to add to their nest egg, or perhaps they just want to travel the world and they want to have liquidity to do so. Some are driven by recognition. I mean, I have many clients that are very, frankly, ego-driven. They want to be recognized and valued and seen for the contribution that they're making in their respective professions. And then others, quite frankly, have no need for that. They don't have the need to be publicly acknowledged. They just want to serve anonymously and do so with the purity of intention that really only they and their divine creator have alignment around. So with that, you know, let's face it. I mean, there is a lot of ambiguity in our world. I think probably for those of us who've been on the planet for longer than 50 years, we're seeing a lot of history repeat itself. There's recession, there's global strife, there are wars, there's a lot of turf war, especially over in the Ukraine right now. That whole geopolitical strife is pretty tremendous. And it's a daunting environment, to say the very least. And the question is, you know, how can we best not only navigate the times that we're in, but how can we continue to contribute? And so, you know, my clients keep asking, you know, what should I do, Kristin? Tell me what to do. And the answer is there is no magic answer. It's going to be different for every single person. But there are certain questions and steps that we can take to help create the life that we want to live. And so that's what I really want to cover today. The first step that I counsel my followers and my clients to do is to write your own personal manifesto. And that sounds so grandiose, and that's certainly not what I mean by that. But writing your own personal manifesto is simply how you want your life to be if you were living your best life every single day. You know, what do you really want? What do you stand for? What do you value? What do you want your legacy to be? What would a perfect day in your life look like from start to finish? And I will tell you, this particular exercise, my own coach asked me to do, gosh, almost 20 years ago now. And she actually coached me, in addition to writing my personal manifesto, start with writing a letter to someone that you love and you care about, and write it as if you were 1 year in the future and you're describing, you know, where you were today, but more importantly, where you are 1 year from today, as if you were already there. And you know, it becomes your North Star. It becomes your kind of where you want your life to, and how you want your life to unfold. And it absolutely transformed the way I thought about my life. And it certainly helped transform the way I wanted my life to unfold. And I will tell you that 20 years later, not quite 20 years later, but about 20 years later, my life is every single thing that I wrote to that letter. And the letter, actually, how I know that is I wrote the letter to my parents, who are both now gone. I mailed it to them, and I was cleaning out my father's desk a couple of years ago and found that letter, and every single thing that I'd written down as where I wanted to be and where I was where I was 1 year in the future has absolutely manifested, except for one. Have not been on the Oprah Winfrey show yet, but nevertheless, everything else did come to fruition. So that is the first step. If you are facing ambiguity, you're unclear about where you want to go or how you want your next chapter to unfold, start by writing your personal manifesto and what would be a perfect day. How, if your life were to unfold exactly as you would want it to be, what would that look like? Okay. The second tip, and this one was really, I guess, a big aha for me about 15 years ago. Determine the golden threads that weave throughout every aspect of your life and your career. I've never met a client in the last 20 years since I've been working with individuals and groups that doesn't have a few constant threads of interest and talent. So it could be selling, it could be writing, it could be creating, it could be a myriad of other gifts. And they manifest differently, yet the thread is the same. And so when you're unsure of what to do, think about what gives you joy, what really fulfills you. For me, it is most definitely creating. I love to create. So I create in many ways. I write, I produce podcasts, I produce webinars. And the other thing that kind of fills me up is helping other people reach their potential. So how do I do that? I do keynote speaking, I write books, I coach, I consult. So, but there's always that common thread. And I guess the final thread for me is the whole spiritual tendency where every single thing in my life has a spiritual underpinning. And that spirituality, how it manifests in every thought, word, and deed of how I live my life, most definitely is a golden thread. So think about what are the golden threads in your life? What is weaving all of the aspects of your life together? The third tip or the third aha that I've had in this whole quest of navigating ambiguity and creating the life that we want is embrace the uncertainty and exercise courage. There's that wonderful adage, even if you're scared, do it scared, do it anyway. And I will tell you, there's something magical when you embrace your fears and you let passion or desire trump fear. The fear diminishes and you become your best self because you are no longer allowing your fear to become a paralyzer. It actually can become a catalyst. And I absolutely have embraced that over the years, and it has served me well because believe me, when I wrote my first book, I was scared to death. I was scared I'd be laughed at. I was scared it was going to be a woof, so to speak. And the operative word was just having the courage and the bravery to pursue the things that I wanted to pursue, even if I was scared to do so. So my thought to you is, lean forward with that powerful combination of courage and faith that even if you fall short of the moon, you will still land among the stars, so to speak. And so that taking that first step and taking action, graced with courage, does feed your motivation and certainly will feed your momentum. So that is my third tip: courage to do things even if you're afraid to do them. And the last perspective that I will share, and this is something I wrote about in my third book. And for those of y'all who don't know, I wrote a trilogy of books called Is This Seat Taken? And the last one was entitled Is This Seat Taken? No, I Saved It for You. And it was probably my most vulnerable book of the trilogy. I went there. I went where a lot of people wouldn't go. In fact, my sister thought, are you really sure you want to write all of that and put it out in the public? And the answer was yes. And I think the point was in this last book, and the last point of this podcast is get comfortable with life's big questions. And, as we mature, we have the choice of viewing things at a 50,000 foot level. A lot of people call that at the drone level. And looking down and from the balcony, I've mixed several metaphors there, but I think you're following me, and see how all the pieces fit together. Because I think when we're younger, perhaps we surely can't see where we're going. But when we hit a certain age and you look back, you can see how everything truly did have a providential place and how it showed up and how it basically transformed your life. James Hollis is one of my favorite authors, and he has stated, and I want to read this because I think the quote is beautiful. Our lives find their purpose, not in the answers, but in living large the questions that are worthy of our soul's magnitude. I want to read that again. Our lives find their purpose, not in the answers, but in living large the questions that are worthy of our soul's magnitude. And I can promise you, as I continue to dive deep in my questions, because many of you who followed me know that I've lost a number of very dear people in my life over the last few years, both my parents, several of my closest and dearest friends in the world, my dog, among others. And I had to look the tiger in the eye and get comfortable with death, get comfortable with change, get comfortable with transition, and to live large those questions that I may or may not have the answers to. So I would love to encourage you to dig deep within yourself, to get comfortable with that ambiguity, manifest your life by writing your own personal manifesto. And I'd love to hear your comments. So if any of this resonates with you, comment below and let me know. It would be my pleasure to work with you along this journey. If I could be of any service to you, maybe a sounding board, maybe a cheerleader, or maybe just someone who locks arms with you as you navigate life. With that, make it a great day wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I sincerely hope that these 4 points will give you food for thought as you navigate and create your own life. Make it a great day.